Hi, my name is Yolanda Villafana, and I'd like to introduce you to my new book called The Little Lamb and the Little Donkey. This book was written in partnership with my good friend and brilliant illustrator, Deborah Delaney, who brings my little stories to colorful life. This story is the first book that I've written for children of all ages because you see, the story is timeless. It's eternal. It was inspired through the pages of Exodus, through the prophet Isaiah, down to the Mount of Calvary, and into eternity. This little story of God's unfailing love is told through the eyes of a little lamb and a little donkey. Once there was a little lamb and a little donkey born on the very same day. They grew up together, best of friends, two of a kind in play. In appearance, different as night and day. Daddy lamb and daddy donkey watched their sons laugh and play. They'd hear ba 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 and hee haw hee haw. They would roll their eyes, smile, and walk away. Little donkey had a way of getting into trouble with the silly things he would say. Little lamb was his defender. He'd smooth ruffled feathers, making things okay. When they played out in the field, little donkey always lost track of time, and he would wander away. Little lamb always guided him back home, and when little donkey was scared, little lamb would show him the way. As the months passed, little donkey could no longer play. He had to help the farmer carrying burdens on his back all day. Many times, tied with ropes, led here and there, scolded by the farmer for making mistakes, called stupid and slow, mocked, and told he did not have a prayer. Little donkey would longingly look at little lamb frolicking about in the green pastures. He wished that he could play and be free without any burdens or cares. One beautiful sunny day, little donkey had a chance to be close to his friend. They laid in the cool green meadow and gazed up at the clouds. Little lamb, why are you my friend? I'm stupid and dirty and clumsy, while you are spotless, clean, and without a blemish in sight. I wish I could be like you and make Daddy Donkey proud. Little lamb looked at his friend with his big floppy ears, his strong back, and a sweet smile that lit up the farm. Little donkey, I love you just as you are. You're not stupid or slow, but wonderfully made by God above. I know that God has created us for a very special job. Little donkey felt better. He always felt better when he was near little lamb. He looked up at the clouds and he whispered a prayer. God, if you can hear me, I give you my heart. If you have a job for me to do, I will gladly take part. In April, there was excitement all throughout the farm. The farmer was busy. It looked like a party, little donkey and little lamb. Both of them knew it was their birthday, for they had just turned 1. Could it be a birthday party for them, they wondered? Oh, what joy, what fun! Little lamb and little donkey approached their fathers, but they both looked solemn and scared. What is it, Daddy? Little lamb said. Daddy lamb just said, I love you, my son, and kissed him on the forehead. In the distance, little lamb and little donkey could see the farmer approach with a set face and a rope in his hand. Little donkey looked confused. This did not look like a party to him. Little lamb looked from father to farmer, and deep in his heart, he knew that something would be required of him. The farmer approached little lamb and little donkey that day. One had to be chosen. One had to be led away. One had to be sacrificed so the other could stay. As the farmer reached for scared little donkey, little lamb jumped in the way. He baa-baa-baaed and made the farmer look his way. Little lamb took the rope in his mouth and he led the farmer away. Little lamb looked back at daddy lamb and he saw tears in his eyes. But beyond the tears, he saw him stand tall and proud. That's my son, he seemed to say. Little lamb looked at little donkey who had fallen to his knees, crying for his friend. But little lamb called out to little donkey and said, Don't be sad, my friend. I was chosen by God for this very special day. Little donkey, God has a job for you too, and I can't wait to hear about it one day. For I know that I will see you again, and everything will be okay. A job for me too? Little Donkey wondered later that day. I'm not like Little Lamb, spotless and clean. What could I do that would be worthy of what Little Lamb did for me? As he gazed up at the clouds on that spring day, he heard a gentle whisper in his heart that said, Little Donkey, rest here in this meadow, for I have heard your prayer. I have a job for you too that I want to share. One day you will have a son, a little donkey of your own, and he will have a son, and he will have a son, and so on and so on. And from your family of donkeys will come a very special one. He will be tied to a post, waiting to carry the Lamb of God, my son. As Little Donkey looked up at the clouds, the sky seemed to part, and he caught a glimpse of heaven that day. There in the clouds was the figure of a man more brilliant than the sun. In his arms he carried Little Lamb, who looked down at Little Donkey and whispered, I told you I'd see you again, my friend. Little Donkey jumped up and hee-hawed loudly as he danced around, no longer sad or burdened by the cares of the farm. He'd see his friend Little Lamb again one day in the clouds, but for now he had a job to do, and he'd make Little Lamb proud. I hope you enjoyed this little story, because you see, it's a story really of God's great love for us. The God who gave his only son as the Lamb of God who takes away the sins of the world. In John 15, Jesus said, there is no greater love than to lay down one's life for one's friends. You are my friends, Jesus said, if you obey my commandments. Because Jesus said, I have chosen you. You didn't choose me, I chose you, and have ordained you to go and bear fruit. Love one another. Jesus said there is no greater commandment than to love God with all your heart, soul, and mind, and to love your neighbor as yourself. This Easter and Good Friday, may we remember the Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world. Happy Easter.